The rumors that Michael Jordan might be selling the Hornets is fantastic news for everyone involved. And I'll quickly lay out my reasons why. Number one, he bought it for, I believe, in the hundred millions many years ago. And obviously now any franchise in the NBA is worth probably a cool billion at minimum. So he's going to make a nice profit return on that. He's also one of the poorer owners in the league. His wealth has come from playing and endorsements. It's not on par with some of the other owners that have built up empires and stock assets, etc. And I think Charlotte's been a victim of that. There's been some interesting financial decisions made throughout the years. There's been the reluctance to sign people, or there's been the committing of weird contracts to people. And I think Charlotte's definitely treading water now. They strike me as Sacramento Kings potential almost, where they might all of a sudden just stay out of the playoff picture for a very long period of time. And I think revitalizes the revitalizes the franchise, get someone new in there, and hopefully it goes through sooner rather than later for the sake of LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets.
It's funny. This is one of my topics I want to talk about. So I guess I've got a bit of info already, sort of, on this topic. Now, I guess the first thing here, though, I don't know if he's looking to sell to an external party. From my understanding, I think the minority owners are looking to take a bigger stake, and he'll sort of step back. Is that sort of what I understand is the case?
Yeah, look, obviously trying to get the 60-second short going, but yeah, you're totally right. I believe it's taking a step back. Because I mean, like also the way that he approaches ownership has probably been, similar to how he approached general managing as well. I think he's too close. He's too close mentally. He wants to be on the court. He can't be on the court. And, I think from a business standpoint, it's time for other people to step in.
Well, I guess because of the change of ownership and how it's being looked at this point, it's not going to be necessarily new ownership coming in and taking over this whole franchise. I don't think there's going to be much difference for the Hornets as a overall franchise in that sort of sense, which is unfortunate. Don't get me wrong. We would love to see the Hornets become relevant again. Just like you sort of, it's a cycle, I guess, to an extent. The teams that sort of been out of the playoffs for a long time and not really that competitive, jumping up there. It's nice to see the Kings this year up there again. I guess they're going to be, who knows how far they're going to go this year. It's also nice to see some of these other clubs that sometimes cycle in and out and just have their sort of bouts of competitiveness. And I think that the Hornets, and I was looking at the stats, obviously, since 2014, which MJ bought the team then and then took it from the Bobcats to the Hornets, they've made one playoffs, which they obviously lost in the first round. And then they've made two play-ins, which they've lost in those games in the play-ins and didn't qualify, obviously, to play any further. So they've really been quite disappointing and woeful in that sense. And I guess it's funny. One of my first thoughts was, actually before the news, the day before the news broke that MJ was looking to sell his stake, I was actually thinking, oh, you know what? In the future, it'd be actually pretty cool to see MJ and LeBron go head to head as owners. Yeah, because obviously LeBron has always had, expressed interest to obviously grab an ownership stake at some point, post playing days, and then you'll definitely take some more memes and social media where LeBron and MJ, who's the better owner, blah blah blah, and that sort of stuff too. But now I guess the fact that MJ is stepping down, we're sort of never going to really see that. Just in that perspective, LeBron ultimately probably will be an owner at some point, in the next, I don't know, say 10 years or so. And I don't know, ultimately he'd probably be the only ex-player owner, as a sort of a majority owner in that sort of sense is the goal for him, I guess, at that point. So I don't know. To me, it's a little bit disappointing. I guess it's happening. I guess you're expressing positivity that's occurring. I'm probably saying that this is not really going to actually make much difference for Charlotte. And unfortunately, it's probably not going to give us a little bit of a narrative down the track, perhaps from an ownership perspective.
Yeah, I think I'm always just optimistic about change, right? Especially for people or places that have really stagnated. And unfortunately for Charlotte, they're two play-in exits. I don't think either of those two games are competitive. I think that statistically speaking, they like lost by 30 or something or 40 per game. They, are in that 10th seed spot to do absolutely nothing and then don't use draft capital properly or don't attract free agents. And they're definitely just kind of wallowing in their own mediocrity. And if a new owner comes in and it breathes new light, they shuffle the deck, they put new people into new positions. Maybe that helps. I'm not too sure, but it's something. It's something that is, on like we're talking about a franchise that we otherwise have no reason to talk about.
Look, I think you talked about draft capital, and they took LaMelo Ball, and barring the injuries that he's faced so far, and hopefully none of them are sort of going to be recurring in that sort of sense. Hopefully, he gets over them and continues to get onto the floor. I think there's been really little impact from the draft that they've made. Maybe Wembanyama might end up there if if the lottery balls fall their way this year, and that could be a really significant pairing in that sort of sense. But let's be clear, there's other teams all positioning themselves for that, for Wembanyama as well, so it could go any direction. I was actually looking through some of the last picks that they made, and here's a bit of fun fact. I don't know if you know this on top of your head, but they actually made a pick in 2018, which they traded on draft night. I don't know if you can pick the player, but he's now turned into a 30 point per game scorer, and the Hornets actually picked them in 2018.
A 30, there's only, I mean, Gilgeous, is that who they had?
They picked SGA and they traded him for Miles Bridges on draft night, and obviously SGA went to the Clippers. Then from Clippers, he was sent over in the Paul George trade for OKC Thunder. But you could only just imagine Hornets fans here if you had LaMelo Ball, SGA, and I don't know, you probably got a little bit of a different outlook here. And we're probably thinking your team's on the up at the moment versus where you're currently trying to position yourself to get the number one pick in the draft again.
Well, I think there's a tiny bit of defense for them. It's the Miles Bridges pick was panning out or was looking pretty decent up until the events of the offseason. So, that's a like obviously Shea is on a different tier, of course, but it wasn't a complete like they traded a 30-point person for a 5-point bust. But yeah, look, it's a franchise that needs a shot on the arm. Perhaps a new owner is the way to do that.
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.